Hello and welcome to some more Star Citizen. Star Citizen Alpha 3.5 is now live and available to all backers that have a game package. Let's go over the new features and patch notes of the new build, as well as some major issues that need to be fixed ASAP. If you want a full or even quick start tutorial for 3.5, I will link ones that I've done down below, as there have been some control changes too. Let's start with the major additions. They've added the DNA face customization system and playable female characters. Character selection and creation now uses a DNA face customization system, so you'll be able to choose your gender, then select from a set of currently available characters and customize the blend of their facial features that will be represented in your own character. This system includes simple and advanced modes, which allows you to customize your face with a preferred level of complexity, and then select individual traits such as eye, hair color, skin tone, hair type. You can blend between different features and different faces for your preferred face. Planet ArcCorp and its moons Lyria and Walla have been added. Unlike the other planets in the Stanton system, ArcCorp has the distinction of being almost entirely developed and built on. Nearly every square kilometre of the planet has been allocated for habitation or commercial use, industrial plants and massive warehouses. As such, a strict low-level no-fly zone is in place for protection, though many choose to construct their buildings taller than the zone in order to offer landing opportunities. And that planet ArcCorp does have buildings above the no-fly zone. When you get close to the no-fly zone, there is an autopilot feature which will try and pull you away from the no-fly zone rather than sort of like auto-kill you where possible. ArcCorp has two moons as well, Lyria, an icy moon dotted with cryogeysers, cryovolcanoes, and Walla, a low-density moon notable for its large crystalline outcroppings. Those moons have non-breathable atmospheres, whereas ArcCorp in Area 18 is very breathable. Major landing zone additions. Area 18 on ArcCorp happens to be one of the few landing zones designated by ArcCorp for interplanetary traffic and is one of the main commercial ports for the surrounding region. If travellers manage not to be overwhelmed by the hectic sights and sounds of the landing zone, they can find a variety of goods from trusted names, as well as unique local providers. ArcCorp has contracted with the PMC group Blackjack Security to ensure that their world and its surrounding environments are kept safe and open for business. Blackjack Security are basically the police force, the security forces of Area 18 and ArcCorp's surrounding area. Probably the biggest change and update to 3.5 is the new flight model and IFCS updates. So they've added a speed limiter, which I refer to as velocity control. The speed limiter is a preset velocity controlled by mouse wheel that is applied to all strafe directions and is controlled independently of ship motion. Core ship movement is now controlled via strafe in desired vectors. Forward, backward, left, right, up, down, which is WSAD, control and space. Releasing a button has you return to a stationary position. Additionally, there is cruise control, the C key, which will toggle that on. It automatically thrusts you forward for longer distance travel. Make sure you turn that off when you are trying to land, otherwise you will bash into things. The velocity is shown as actual velocity as well. All ship thruster outputs and tunings have been reworked for a more dirty feel. IFCS netcode has been updated for more efficient performance. ESP has been updated for new flight tunings. SCM and pre-bespoke modes have been removed. Comstab's been removed as well. The old Afterburner's been removed, and Boost is now referred to as Afterburner. So Afterburner in game now, which is Shift, gives you an acceleration boost, but generates heat. Ship audio has been reworked, including new thruster audio, new ship sounds, and audio-linked vibrations for your ships. The center flight HUD has been reworked to better fit the updated flight model. Atmospheric flight has been retuned and now includes lift in addition to drag. Gravlev control has been reworked. Players can now set quantum travel waypoints on members of their party, which is fantastic. You can actually just warp to your party members. IFCS will now engage autopilot and attempt to turn your ship out and away when intersecting a no-fly zone. Ship thrusters are now damageable via direct fire. This will affect the way your ship moves if they are damaged. They've improved and updated the ship heat system, so ship thrusters can now overheat under heavy usage, especially when using Afterburner, or more likely as well when they are in atmosphere. Full balance passes have been made on the thruster power usage. They've updated AI pilot behavior to include breakaway under fire tactics and separate lateral and frontal attacks for larger ships with turrets. They've added automated gimbals, probably the biggest change to combat. Automated gimbals are an additional setting for gimbals that allow them to attempt to automatically track targets within a cone in the front of the ship. The cone is designated by a dashed circle, which is separated into two when the gimbals do not have lock on the target, and then closes into a single circle when they do have a lock. This mode can be cycled via pressing the R key, and you will see whether you're in fixed mode, manual gimbals, or automated gimbal mode at the bottom of your HUD. You must have at least some weapons on gimbals and not fixed to make use of that mode, and you must still try and aim at the ships. Trying to put your pips on a ship will give you better lock. They've added ship auto weapon convergence as well, so fixed and gimbaled weapons now auto-converge desperate weapon velocities and ranges into a single pip based on the slowest and shortest range weapon you have equipped. Additionally, gimbal and fixed weapons have a very small amount of target convergence, which is still being tuned. Ships and vehicle updates. They have added the MISC Reliant variants, the Tanner, Sen, and Mako to the game. The Anvil F7C M Super Hornet Heartseeker has been added, which is just a different loadout and skin for the Super Hornet. There's been a full rework of the 300i. A new weapon, the Tachyon Singe Cannon, has been added. They are pretty damn cool. They have added new turret UI and sensitivity controls. So turrets now have a UI overlay that shows their position relative to their parent ship in degrees, the current sensitivity slider bar, and with the current fire mode. Additionally, there are now interaction nodes for increasing and decreasing turret sensitivity directly from the turret seat. So using turrets now is much more viable in a ship. They've updated and improved the scanning HUDs. So scan information is now consolidated into two lists that passively refresh when scanning an object, even if already scanned. Also, the ability to scan quantum travel navigation points has been added. They've added voice feedback for events while mining. Items and components now were at a very slow rate, and items and components can now be repaired. Some other ship updates. There's been a revision of the Galison Tactical Systems GT870 series of ship weapons. They've updated the Gladius entry and exit animations, added faster bed animations to the Prospector, updated def VFX for the Scythe, adjusted the Freelancer landing pad position to avoid the rear of the ship being too close to the edge, adjusted the Hornet seat position to be more consistent for all variants, increased the self-destruct timer of the Reclaimer, missile guidance should now work between different zones, the mining arm of the Prospector will now shake when firing its laser, minor updates for entry, exit, and pass-out animations for numerous ships to eliminate pauses. Power priority is now functional. Slightly raised the Saber's flight HUD. They've disabled look behind view for parked ships in shops. They've moved the power plant and quantum points on the MISC Reliant away from the wings to avoid loss of control when they're damaged. They've updated audio for some ships' weapons and weapon impacts, reduced all ship weapon velocities with a greater reduction for cannons. They've rebalanced cannon damage, and re-entry VFX are now systemically driven by IFCS atmospheric physics. Mission, NPC, and location addition. So they've added a new mission giver, Ticia Twitch Pacheco. I am the worst at saying her name. Twitch came up as a soldier who transitioned into freelance security work after her service ended. Things seemed to be working out until she suffered nerve damage on a job for Blackjack Securities, and they unceremoniously cut her loose. Now left without employment and a very specialised skill set that she couldn't use, she turned to the criminal element that she used to hunt. These days, she lurks in the back alleys of the megacity Area 18, making deals and introducing people, or as she calls it, enjoying her retirement. She can be found in the main plaza of Area 18, in between, in a little back alley, the ArcCorp Tower and the Jobwell, the TTD there. And you will eventually get a mission to go and visit her in personal at some point, an appointment to go and see her. If you're a criminal, that seems to proc earlier. They've added Hurston security ship variants for areas in and around Hurston. They've added environmental missions where AI security forces will track down and hunt unlawful players and call in additional support. The level and ship of the opposing security forces attacking players will be based on the player's wanted level, and you can see big ships turn up like hammerheads. They've added combat assistance, service beacon mission types for AI. They've added a patrol mission to Delamar. They've added destroy satellite missions into the Hurston area. They've added additional delivery mission variants, expanded black box investigation, collect and kill confirm missions to additional derelicts. They've reduced the shields on the satellites for the destroy probe missions set. They've updated Steel and ECN missions with new waves of enemies and different protect ships. Improvements to delivery mission assets have been made. They've changed the rewards and opposing ships for the mission giver bounty missions. Locker modules can now properly handle multiple deliveries. Delamar asteroids are now viable locations for mercenary missions. Bounty, steal, and recovery missions all now progress in difficulty. The more you do them, the more sort of like higher difficulty missions you will get access to. They've updated ships that spawn in pirate blockades. Unlocking PvP bounties requires the player to complete any local security mission, Crusader, Hurston, or Blackjack security, and unlock the North Rock intro mission. Completing the North Rock intro mission unlocks PvP bounties for players with wanted level 2 or higher. They've updated visuals and refinement of Wallace Klim. Clean up and minor improvements have been made to NPC collision avoidance systems. They've updated sound effects and ambiences for the Lawville CBD, the Central Business District. They've updated lighting at various rest stops, added an automatic door to Constantine Hurston's office, updated some shopkeeper animations, updated text for armor types to include color variants, reduced civilian foot traffic in and around Lawville. Deferred collisions been added to no-fly zones. They've adjusted restocking and insurance pricing, removed the Million Mile High Club from the main menu, and they have now placed the Million Mile High Club in Area 18 in the ArcCorp Tower there. They've updated lighting for Lawville's hangars as well. Some FPS updates. We'll start with some items. The Gemini S71 assault rifle has been added, a well-balanced and designed assault rifle, favoured by wealthier private military professionals who want to make a display. There's the Castak Arms Coda pistol as well, a no-frills raw heavy ballistic pistol that packs a heavy punch if it connects. What it lacks in fire rate and magazine size, it more than makes up for in range and power. FPS weapons now have a dry fire audio sound when they are out of ammunition. They've added colour variants to many armours and undersuits. They've updated vaulting animations for smoother usage, added additional aim recoil to the K-SAR Ravager. I've also updated the perception of FPS combat AI to react to players better, and AI on the ground isn't super awful. It's pretty bad, but it's not as bad as it has been previously. They've updated firing sounds for the Arc Light pistol. Some Star Marine updates. Echo 11 has undergone a complete redesign to create better pathing between zones, more varied cover and positions, and better flow between each point of interest or control point. Control area capture now has updated gameplay mechanics. You can now start the capture by just tapping F, which will interact with the keyboard for 2 seconds. You will then automatically detach, allowing you to protect yourself against any incoming player. While the capture is taking place, an augmented reality sort of marker appears in the world, displaying the capture area. If you step outside of this area, the capture will slowly decay back towards its last state, and if more members of your team are inside the area, the capture will go faster. Enemy team members will slow down the progress of the capture or completely stall it if they have the same or more amount of players than you in that area. Capture points also go to neutral states now if you die partway through a capture, so the enemy team would have to recapture it basically if you get it to that neutral state. Last stand is now 3 rounds instead of 4. They've reduced Star Marine elimination player cap to 12 now, and they've added a smaller version of Station Demian comms, which will be used for elimination modes. Some other bits and bobs. They've updated carry and pickup animation transitions to smooth out motion a bit. They've updated some of the carrying animations for EVA. Default keyboard and gameplay controls have been revised, along with the image presets in the options menu. Again, as I said, I'll put a link down below to those controls changes. There are a lot. It is now Y to get out of a seat or a bed. That is an important control. It is R to flight ready a ship, but once that ship is flight readied, R will cycle through your gimbal mode. They've updated the menu background screen, added UI icons for additional kinds of contracts, temporarily removed visible geometry from helmets that was impeding mobiGlas visibility, and those mobiGlas problems that we have previously had with the mobiGlas jittering and sort of like attacking you and opening and then closing and opening again have been, at least for me, entirely fixed now. I hope it stays that way. They've replaced the claim and retrieve buttons on ASOP terminals with a single context-sensitive button, which allows you to move your ship, allows you to claim, retrieve, all that sort of stuff, and deploy your ship. It's a lot smarter than the previous system was. They've added a headphone setting in the audio menu, and they've updated party markers for more clarity. There has been a massive amount of bug fixes from the previous builds of the game. I will highlight some of them here, but a huge amount of sort of like fixes have been made for ships, entry and exit, and animation problems solved, issues like that solved. The aim pit on turrets should no longer jarringly snap to targets. NPCs should no longer occasionally be standing on seats rather than sitting. Large layers of liquid-like shadows should no longer appear on moons. There should no longer be atmospheric gaps inside various ships. Mineable resources should no longer flicker on approach and remain physicalized and scannable. Chaff should now function properly as a countermeasure. Quantum calibration targets in close proximity will now update properly when switching between them. Missile lock UI should no longer remain there after firing a missile. They have fixed various LOD issues, level of detail issues, on approaching moons and Lorville. They have made loads of performance optimizations and fixed a large range of object container streaming related stalls, and you should notice pretty good performance. You should notice no hitching when you're playing, or at least much less if you had hitching previously. There are still some major known issues with this live build, which they will try and solve ASAP. Also, it's important that you are on launcher version 1.1.1 and have that fully updated before you begin downloading the patch. So probably should have mentioned that earlier. When exiting the options menu on the character customizer screen, the options will remain up, disabling player's control. So don't do that at the moment on the character customization screen. Don't bring up options. If the player exits the game with the mobiGlas still open, they will return to the universe with a blurry screen. You've got to make sure you basically have the mobiGlas closed before you exit to main menu. Otherwise, you have to relog into the game. Delivery boxes can fall through the flooring of some ships. Ships do not leave cargo when destroyed, and they're supposed to leave some cargo behind. Ruto's hologram is missing. Ruto's entry mission will sometimes fail to complete. Some Area 18 labs lack atmospheric pressure. Ships can exceed their speed limits by turning slightly when accelerating. Weapon projectiles and traces occasionally diverge significantly from the player's point of aim. That is an urgent one they need to fix. Dying with chat open can cause the player to be unable to respawn correctly, and you have to relaunch the client to get around that. Trying on clothing at Kasaba can sometimes result in a loss of armor pieces. Ship bed logout may be unreliable or inconsistent. Stowed items can sometimes appear attached to a player's legs. Switching to the external camera, the third-person mode F4, from the pilot seat when in a ship will reset the HUD and chat. So when you go back to F12, you'll see the chat in the top left. F12 to get rid of chat. 3.5 did see a Alpha UEC purchases and balance wipe. Alpha UEC that you will start with in 3.5, and future wipes will be the amount of UEC that you have on your RSI account. Obviously, you can earn Alpha UEC in-game, though. We should see a 3.5.1 patch and then other 3.5.x patches to fix these issues in the very near future. Also, the 300 series variants are planned for a short-term 3.5.x patch as well. For me, when I was playing earlier, there were no ship inventories, but I've previously seen this in PTU to live builds, as they basically haven't hooked up the databases or services to the live build properly, and it typically gets fixed within a day or so. At least that's my hope. There were a few nuggets of additional updates and bits and bobs that they were not mentioned in those patch notes that actually have been put into the game. Habs are now persistent, so if you put flower items, boxes, or anything else in a hab, those changes will be saved. So you can have a load of turtles piled up, for example, or a load of boxes from missions, or move around items, take items from other rooms and put them in a hab. However, your actual hab room may move around to different doors. So you might be on strut a room 5 at Port Olisar and move all your bits and bobs around your hab, and then relog, and then be in room 2 of strut B. The room, however, will still be used with all those changes that you just made. It literally just teleports and loads in the room with you. Your hab changes will be saved at Port Olisar, at Levski, Grimhex, Lorville, and Area 18. Obviously, they all have their own unique hab rooms, but any changes you make in those hab rooms will be saved from every time you relog, basically. There are also a lot more narcotics in the form of Etam, Slam, Neon, in addition to Widow and Ultratoxin, and new drugs labs around the Stanton system too. Trade routes have therefore changed. There are other alternatives to Jumptown is the idea here. You can find these if you know where they are, which I will do a video on shortly, but also if you do the big dump missions, some of those other missions, you will find some of these locations just by doing those missions, and doing various missions will unlock more and more types of mission and lots of other stuff going on. Some missions do require you to be a criminal or have reputation in doing some of the criminal missions. Once you do a criminal mission, or once you get a criminal rating, should I say, that will typically lock out most general missions to you, but personal missions are basically ones that are sent directly to you. Those will be a lot of the criminal missions, so always check there. And any appointments that you have with NPCs will also appear in the appointments section of your personal, and some of those missions are pretty cool. The new Twitch mission in Area 18, when you get to talk to her, she will have you going to look for a particular package which you have to search for, fight off some NPCs, you go grab a ship, which she lends you a ship for the mission, and it's pretty cool. It's sort of like heralds some pretty cool missions coming in the future. Some of the missions generate counter missions as well now, so sort of like be aware of that. And obviously you've got the police and the security forces sort of like chasing you down as well now, which is absolutely fantastic. Anyway, tell me what you think of the new patch. If you've got any questions, put them in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. I will get a series of 3.5 content out as quick as I can, but I do already have a quick start guide and a full sort of like as quick a starter tutorial as I could make for all the new bits and bobs for the game. For those of you that are looking at the new stuff that you can do, the controls changes, all that sort of stuff, or how to even use the new flight mechanics, because they are a big change. They're pretty simple once you know how to use them, and I actually think they're pretty damn good, but I'd love to know what you think as well. Every month we have a giveaway for a Star Citizen ship. For April 2019, we are giving away a Drake Corsair with lifetime insurance. It's the new concept ship focused on exploration, and the loaner for that ship is currently the Constellation Aquila and the Buccaneer. To be in for a chance of winning, be subscribed to my channel and comment on any video that I put out during April. Full details in the description below. Need a PC or upgrade to play Star Citizen? Consider Shadow. Shadow is a cloud-based subscription alternative to a gaming PC, and it works with Star Citizen Alpha 3.5 better than it ever has. It leverages the power of the internet to give you a Windows 10 gaming environment potentially anywhere. Check out the links below or go to shadow.tech for more information. Use the code BoredGamer to receive a discount on your subscription if you do decide to try it. I'm not sponsored or paid by Cloud Imperium in any way. This is a Star Citizen news and fan channel that is supported by you, the community. Patrons, donations, subscriber stars, YouTube members, that little join button underneath my videos, all help support the channel and allow me to create regular video content, maintain a website, upload podcasts, and more. If you wish to go that extra mile, it is amazingly helpful. There is occasional exclusive content for those that do as well.